Time for the word on Wall Street. Top investors watching your money. Joining me now, Rosecliff Capital CEO and managing partner Mike Murphy, Walser Wealth Management President Rebecca Walser, and Stifel Chief Economist Lindsay Piegza. Lindsay, I begin with you. Futures are up this morning following a slightly mixed day on Wall Street yesterday. We're standing by for personal income and spending for April out at the bottom of the 8 o'clock hour. Personal spending is expected to rise 0.5% in April. Lindsay, your view of that and the overall economy?
Well, I think it's very clear that the U.S. economy is gaining momentum, and the recovery, in fact, is exceeding a lot of what we saw in terms of expectations on the street. But in good part, this momentum is very artificial in nature, heavily reliant on government spending, with government expenditures up over 6% in the first quarter alone. So when we move forward and this punch bowl is eventually removed, consumers are going to be forced to rely on more organic momentum, more organic factors such as job and income growth. Not to mention, we will have to address the longer run inflationary implications as a result of growing the government's balance sheet so precipitously. But here and now, trillions upon trillions in spending, even though it will lead to a much slower growth profile going forward, it is leading to a much stronger, much more robust growth profile and consumer activity here and now in 2021.
Speaking of that, before we move on, much of the spending and the debt from last year, the COVID spending, has been monetized by the Federal Reserve, essentially printing money to buy that very debt. The balance sheet at about $8 trillion now, expected to go to at least $9 trillion in a few years. And then you've got Jay Powell's term is up next February. What do you expect about that? The reliance of runaway federal spending on a Federal Reserve to soak up all that debt?
Well, you're absolutely right. It hasn't only been on the fiscal side. It's very much been stimulus on the monetary side as well. And as we've heard from the committee, as we've heard from Chairman Powell, there really is no appetite at this point to begin to remove that accommodative policy. And in fact, not only is the Fed not talking about reducing asset purchases or raising rates, they're not even beginning that discussion for a timeline to begin to back off. So right now, the market is very much focused on further monetary support, and the consumer very much focused on further fiscal support.
Mike, let's look at the resurgence of meme stocks. Shares of AMC skyrocketing yesterday, up as much as 46% during the session. A Bank of America analyst says, or an analysis says, that the theater chain has overtaken GameStop as the favorite stock of the Wall Street Bets Reddit forum. GameStop also higher, up about 5%. What's your take on this ongoing mania?
Good morning, Dagan. It's concerning to me. I'm all for people making money, especially retail investors. I want to see them active in the market, and I want to see them making money. So right now, anyone who's long GameStop, AMC, and now I think one of the latest ones is Beyond Meat, they're doing great. But investing for 25 years, I've rarely seen the market lose or the system lose. So I'm all for the little guy, but I think this is I read this morning where one retail trader on Reddit said, I'm putting my entire life savings into AMC, wish me luck. And these are companies that aren't fundamentally worth where they're trading today. So I think I'd love it if people would watch what they're doing and not go all in on names because of a mania coming from Reddit, because it just typically doesn't end well. I don't believe that AMC or GameStop or Beyond Meat are worth the value that they're trading at today. So I hope people continue to make money, but it's very concerning to me because in the past, I've seen this end one way, and that's end badly for the retail investor.
I saw it during the first .com boom, and I don't want to do a finger wagging tisk, 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 but it is really gambling.
It is at this stage of the game because, when you're looking at companies moving 30%, 40%, now again today for AMC, 20% this morning, if you want part of those huge moves in the stock to the upside, you have to be prepared for the huge moves that are going to come inevitably to the downside. Remember when this happened a few months ago in GameStop, when the music stopped and the stock sold off from the mid 400s all the way back down below $100 a share, then people were complaining or people were pointing fingers and blaming others. I think you have to realize you work hard for your money. If you want to gamble on these companies, more power to you. I would rather you have a good, solid investment plan because I don't think this is going to end well for them.
I'm okay with boring, if you will. Rebecca, let's turn now to cryptocurrency. Never boring. JP Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon saying his personal advice is to stay away from cryptocurrencies, though his feelings won't influence any crypto-related services offered by the bank. Now, NFL star Tom Brady is on the other side of that trade, saying he's a big believer in crypto and has made several investments over the last year. Your reaction, Rebecca?
Well, I think, Dagan, we have to look at the source of both comments, right? So obviously Tom Brady, I can't see any reason. He's got his own company starting all those things, so he's a crypto believer. But, Wall Street and Jamie Dimon, that's much different from his comments from 2017 when he said it was a fraud. And obviously what's happened, Dagan, is mainstream has come in and investors are demanding something. And so capitalism does what capitalism does, and they are stepping up to the plate and offering it. But obviously Wall Street and the Federal Reserve, certainly all the governments of the world have a very big reason and impetus to start to control cryptocurrency. As we've seen, it's becoming more mainstream, and the IRS classified it as an investment, as we know, subject to capital gains. But I've said this for 3 years, as soon as we start seeing it being used as a currency, we're going to start seeing things change. And you start to see the tone of the IRS last week and the Biden administration talking about large currency transaction reports and that they can seize cryptocurrency as a sea change of how the government is starting to talk about this.
Thank you, Rebecca. Rebecca Walser, Mike Murphy, and Lindsay Piegza. Have a terrific Memorial Day weekend.